Hello friends, welcome to today's video. This video is going to be a comparison of all of the newest, latest loose powders at the drugstore. There have been so many that have launched recently over the last several weeks. I have tested every single one of these products that I'm going to share with you today. I've done individual videos in depth reviewing each of these powders. If you're looking for more information, like more in detail about each of these specific powders, the description box down below is going to have some additional videos linked for you that I think are going to be helpful in determining if you want to purchase these, if it's going to be something that's going to suit your needs. I'm going to be very quick, very rapid fire so that I can get through this video, keep it a little bit shorter. Short and sweet is the name of the game today, so if that sounds good, then just continue watching. As I said, the drugstore has no shortage of loose setting powders. So let's go ahead and kick things off. And I think we're just going to go ahead and start with the one that I'm wearing today. I'm using these powders today from L'Oreal. These are the Blur Fection Loose Setting Powders. These are a very new recent addition to the L'Oreal makeup line. These are supposed to be up to 24 hours blurring, brightening, loose setting powder. So I have two shades. I like the brightening pink for under the eyes, setting the eyes, which is what I did today, to give me a more bright under eye effect. But I also like the translucent light shade to set my entire face. Now, I'm not one to use a ton of powders to set my foundation. I do from time to time. I always set my concealer no matter what routine I'm doing, no matter how glam or how minimal the makeup is, I always set my concealer. So I do use a pink one more than this one, but I think that this formula is absolutely beautiful. I think it's definitely 10 out of 10, something I would definitely recommend that you try because it actually blurs and sets the makeup really beautifully, whether it's under the eyes or the entire face, but it actually truly blurs the skin. For under the eyes, I like to use a powder puff and just kind of dip into the jar and set my under eye area that way, but you could also use some tools. I'm going to link some of my favorites down below, but you can use a brush, something a little bit smaller, like this one here from BK Beauty to set under the eyes or kind of pinpoint specific areas, or something a little bit larger to do the entire face. It's up to you. Like I said, my favorites will be linked for you down below. But back to the powder itself, this is my absolute favorite powder out of all the ones that I'm going to talk about today. This one is one that I would definitely recommend, repurchase, and continue to use. Wet n Wild recently launched their very popular Photo Focus Loose Powder. The one that I have here is just the original, the classic in the translucent shade, but they came out with a pink version. The pink version has a pink cap with a kind of design on the front, so it's going to be about this size of packaging. This one here is the same as the powder formula in the new version packaging, but mine is from the Hello Kitty collection that came out a couple months back. I actually did not purchase the newer component because it's the same thing as the Hello Kitty. I'm not a fan of this pink powder. The original is fine, but since that's a classic and been on the market for a very long time, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the pink tone that you can purchase in the original style component that is available now that it's new. Now the pink in this is a light soft pink, but honestly I don't feel like it really does much of anything for the brightness. It does set because it's a loose powder, so if you put a loose powder over a cream product, whether it's a complexion based product or a blush, you're going to see that it puts a layer of powder over that and it kind of tones down that kind of creamy wet look of those products. But as far as the actual brightening, I don't really see it. It does not brighten anywhere near the brightening effect of this and the pink tone of the L'Oreal. So I do not like this powder in the pink tone. I was not a fan of it when I reviewed the Hello Kitty collection. Honestly, don't reach for this often. And I just think that if you want a pink based powder, there is another option like the L'Oreal one. I think it's far better. And I think it's just going to be giving you that more brightness and that more blurred effect. Now this doesn't really blur or smooth the look of my pores. And this is just me, my personal experience. If you use this powder and love it, continue going for it and using it every day. But for me, it's just a no. I've got two powders. Both are from Catrice. So we're going to start with the first one. This is the Bright and Blur Loose Setting Powder. And this is in a pink shade. It's actually 010 Soft Pink. And I think that this is a nice powder. It does do a good job at setting the makeup and especially the under eyes with this light pink. I wouldn't necessarily use a light pink powder that's tinted all over my face. The pink ones, for me personally, I just leave it for the under eyes. I do think that this powder definitely set the under eyes, but again, just like the Wet n Wild pink powder, I just didn't see enough brightness, enough to really feel like this is going to be a go-to. This one was okay. Now, if I'm comparing this powder from Catrice to the pink from Wet n Wild, I would say I would go for Catrice better. I think it's a little bit of a better formula and it just looks better on my skin. Both of these are still not my favorite ones, but if I had to choose, I would go with Catrice. Catrice also has the new under eye brightening powder that has a very similar component to their under eye brightening corrector that is very popular, and I do like this powder. I think that it did a nice job at brightening and blurring the under eye area and making the concealer kind of blur and melt right into the foundation and kind of smooth where those two products meet and giving that more set, more blurred look to the skin. And I actually like how this does brighten the eye. Now, it's not quite as brightening as the L'Oreal. This one says light rose. The tone of this is just a little bit softer, not as pink. And I do like that because sometimes with more pigmented tinted powders, you can see them depending on how much you put on. You can see a cast on the skin, and I'm not a fan of that. So I like to use this with a big fluffy brush, something like this brush here. This is the BK Beauty 108. So you can just kind of tap, go right in through this area, or you can use a powder puff. Many people use these now, and you kind of just dip it, kind of press onto it. And I like how this is a little bit more finely milled. It doesn't look heavy under the eyes, so I do really like this powder. Next up is probably one of the most affordable powders in this range. This is the Essence Flawless Skin Trio Loose Setting Powder. It's blurring, brightening, and smoothing is what it says on the cap. That's what it looks like. This one has, as the name suggests, a trio, so it's 3 different colors. So let's start with what I do like about it. What I like is that it has a sifter, which I personally did not close, so now I have powder going everywhere. But there is a sifter that you can close. You can actually move that sifter and dispense out a specific color. So if you wanted the more peachy tone, you could do that. If you wanted the soft purple, you could do that too. Or the pink. So you have all those 3 brightening classic colors for brightening under the eyes. You can open it like I have. It's going to make a mess, but you can dump it out and get all 3 colors. I usually just pour it into the cap and use the same technique as I do with the other powders with a powder puff or a more pinpoint style brush. Now, that's pretty much it that I like about this powder. I do not like how these colors come together. With that technique of using the powder puff, it does put down just a little bit more than a brush would. And I actually can see the cast of these colors just kind of laying on top of my skin. And I don't like that. I feel like this is just not, it's just not for me. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like the way it looks. Even if I kind of forget about the tint that I can see, I just don't like the way this powder sets my makeup. I don't like how this powder looks under the eyes. I feel like it makes my under eye look drier. And it's just not my favorite. And I feel like the idea is good. The concept is there, giving us multiple colors, allowing us to choose one or whatever we want, kind of customize it to our preference. So I do like that. And I wish that other brands would create those sifter components on the inside, but it's a no. Just don't even, I can't recommend it because I just don't like this powder. And nothing against the brand of Essence. If you have this powder, love it, keep using it. But just for me, I'm not going to use this anymore. Up next is my last powder, and this is actually from Neutrogena. This is the Translucent Loose Setting Powder with the Hydro Boost, and it has purified hyaluronic acid, so it has some skincare benefits added to it, which is great. It's a nice bonus. This is actually a powder that I purchased off of Amazon. It had barely any reviews, so to me, it's more of a new powder, unless it's been available in stores and I just missed it. But to me, this is new, so I'm going to throw it into this bunch. So on the back, it says that this is supposed to blur the skin and actually leave a more hydrated look to the skin. And I wouldn't say that I would purchase this powder to have a hydrated look, because when you put powder on, it's going to tone down the look of any sort of moisture or any sort of juiciness, dewiness, depending on, of course, how much you put on. But it is a very finely milled powder. And when you kind of blend this in and you feel the texture, it feels very silky and very smooth, which I do like. I also like how when you put this on, it doesn't look like you put powder on. It actually looks really soft and smooth. So maybe that's where the hyaluronic acid comes into play, giving that look of just more skin-like, not necessarily a powdered look. So I do appreciate that, and I do like it. Now again, the same thing with the Essence. It has a sifter that you can twist and close, and I did not close mine. So mine is an absolute disaster. But I do like this powder, and I think this is great for someone with sensitive skin because it's a more skincare-based brand and has skincare-based ingredients in it. I also think this is for someone who does not like the look of powder, but you want to set and tone everything down. You will really like this. If you are someone that's looking for just one setting powder to use under the eyes and all over your face, I would go for something like this because this one doesn't have a color to it. Once you blend this in, it's pretty much translucent, even though it has just like a slight kind of beigey tone to it. You're not going to get a tint like the one from Wet n Wild. It's not tinted like the Catrice one or the other one from L'Oreal that I really like. So this one I think is great for an all-around kind of setting powder for under the eyes and the face. So I do think that this plays well with a lot of my foundations and concealers, skin tints, things like that. So this one I feel like is one of the only ones out of the bunch that I feel like can be used all over, except for the Blur Fection. If you get a tone that is more translucent from L'Oreal, not necessarily the pink one, I wouldn't use this all over my face to set. So these two would probably be those better options for all over that you can use under the eyes and on the face. Out of all of these powders that I have reviewed quickly for you today, my number one pick would be the Blur Fection powders from L'Oreal. This is setting, blurring, it's like a filter in a powder, and I absolutely love it. I think that this is a wonderful formula to find at the drugstore. It's easily accessible, so this is absolutely 10 out of 10, my number one pick. So as you can see, I've been very busy testing out products. I do test products every single day. I'm trying things out, comparing them, and I hope that this video kind of breaking these down was helpful. Like I said in the beginning, this was a rapid fire. If you want more details about each one specifically, the description box is going to have those videos linked for you. They're a little bit more lengthy because I do go through the products. I do talk about the packaging, the formula, I read the claims, I tell you how I like it, what I dislike about it, how it looks, show you up close the product. Everything is just much more in-depth when I'm doing video reviews. But this is more of like a speed round, and I hope that this was helpful for you to see what's out there on the market when you go to the drugstore. Maybe you'll remember some of the things that we talked about in today's video. It's going to be all listed and linked for you down below. Share with me in the comments down below which powder is your favorite from the drugstore that is a loose setting powder. Have you tried any of these? Let me know your feedback, your thoughts. Let me know what you think of this video. Thank you for being here, for watching. Take care, you guys, and we'll talk very soon. Bye-bye.